Hi everyone, this is a quick video that's just intended to give a bit of an outline around um, summarizing articles and I guess also referencing articles that you're summarizing. So um, what I'm going to do here is just screen share a document and just do some summaries of some of my own research because that's the stuff I'm most familiar with to give you a sense of how you can approach this. And it's really just to give you a bit of a sense of how referencing works. So one of my starting points recording this video is some of the review work that we do on the modules, writing a literature review. And I'm conscious these are new skills that you're kind of learning and drawing on here and developing. And I think as educators, we can sometimes complicate things. And I mean educators there really broadly, so OU tutors, but also the general climate of academia and the style of writing you see in the module guides and textbooks and articles and all these kinds of things. And there are conventions there around how academic writing works for good reasons. And there are, there's a logic to it. There's a logic to how it all works. But that doesn't mean that there are all of these, the academic written style is sort of intuitive. It doesn't mean that it's a way of writing that's always done very, very well, or is just effective purely by its own merits. So I'm just trying to get a sense here and communicate how this stuff can work. So when we're referencing, you're referencing for lots of different reasons, I guess, on the module you're studying. And you're referencing to bring in some stuff from the module materials using the secondary referencing approach. But you're also referencing original research articles, aren't you, that you're looking for independently on your own and bringing into the module work. And this is a real skill. And it's something that we're all working on really at any stage of our writing. I include myself there and anyone else. So I think a starting point in approaching a literature review is it's all about communication. It's all about a clear communication with the reader. The referencing needs to be done in a way where you're referring to specific research studies. That's sort of the starting point. So I'm going to write a bit of a summary here, excuse me, of a study to give you an idea of what I mean. I'm writing this off the top of my head from memory. Now, this isn't the best sentence in the world, but it gives you a sense of how referencing could work. And I'm, making all of the typographical changes and everything as I go along to give you a sense of how things work. Now, this is far from a perfect summary of a sentence of a study here, but it does give you a sense of what the main thing I'm focusing on here. which is using referencing in a way that reflects a specific piece of work. So this article, Conroy and Divisor 2014, this is being summarized in this sentence here. Now, it could be longer. I've got to remind myself here of some relevant findings from this study. So I'm looking at the study abstract. No, that's not perfect, but that's just giving you a sense of a slightly more extended version of the um, of the project findings. Now I'm going to add a little more detail here because because I've got the space for it. Now I'm just doing a word count there. That's 70 words. So one of the bits of feedback you'll get from me a lot, I think, is that annoying bit of feedback around paragraph length. So I would aim for paragraphs of around 200 to 250 words. Why is that? It's because you want to use your paragraphs to deliver things in a kind of a format that's not too long, not too short. It's just about right to give the reader a package of information. We're all designed to take information in kind of bite-sized sort of volumes, and you want to use paragraphing as a bit of a kind of a narrative device amongst others, including sentence length and sentence clarity and things. But you want to use that thing, paragraph length, as something to kind of deliver information in a way that's going to sort of pack the biggest appeal in terms of delivering your account of things. So that's why I did a word count there. I don't know if that shows on the screen that you're looking at this recording on. It's a separate window, so it might not. But that's my word count telling me there are 70 words there in those two sentences. And that's useful because that's keeping me on track with, how I might want to develop that sort of paragraph from there. Now, if you see my other materials, you know that I like to work with colors to kind of differentiate things for learning resources. And colors are useful at a drafting stage at least, because they help us think as writers about the kind of content we've got going on in the work that we're generating. So having written this summary of this study, Conroy and Divisor 2014, excuse me, I now want to add bits before and after that kind of tie it together to the rest of the review. So I'm going to start, I've changed my color to purple here, with a bit at the start of this summary that is going to be a signposting sentence. Okay, that's something you'll read about in my feedback on your work, the importance of signposting sentences, so that we're not just starting a paragraph just out of the blue on something different. We're starting a paragraph in a way that links it really smoothly to the content that comes before and to kind of the overall direction of travel in which we're going with this review. Now, this is not a perfect sentence by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm conscious there of a bit of repetition, so I'm going to actually delete that there. But you get the idea. That's a signposting sentence. That's me telling the reader this is what's going to be happening in this article. Sorry, in this paragraph. And then there's the study I go on to talk about. And there could be a summary of a second study that appears there. You could put that in a different color. Or I could make this I could make this a signposting sentence at the end of the paragraph to kind of link it back to a broader kind of theme emerging. So I could say, now that again is not perfect, and there's a bit of repetition going on here, but that again gives you the idea of like a signpost back into things. And if I was redrafting this, I would want to maybe push up the detail here in the study summary and shrink back the detail here and maybe here in the signpost. But I wouldn't want to change them that much. That's as long as I've got enough detail about the study or studies, if I've got more than one study and they summarized in that paragraph, I'm going to be quite happy with that. And again, I'm doing a word count, and I'm not sure if this shows on your screen, but that's actually just 160 words. That's quite short. So there could be another study summary there, but just as an example there, I wanted to write that to show you that you can actually pack in quite a bit in quite a short word count. And I'd be thinking about developing that a little bit because that feels a little insubstantial to me. I'd want to give a little bit more detail, a finding from another study. And because I know the area, I know that I could add the Herring et al. 2014 study or the Nahn et al. 2006 study there. So that would be an option, but I could leave it at that. Now, what else can we say about this? I think, yeah, so, I mean, clearly we'd need to have our reference section there. And I'm going to get that reference in so you can see me do that. I use Google Scholar sometimes to help me with this. And do make sure that you add all the detail with your references manually. Do make sure that you've added, you've checked them, they've got everything right. Look, see, I've added something in here and it hasn't formatted it the way I want it. And maybe I want to add other things like the DOI number. I'm not sure if you need to do that with your own studies, but I'm going to add that here now. And I just wanted to have that so that you've got that consistency between the in-text citation there, excuse me, and how it appears in the reference section there. I don't think you do have to include DOI numbers, do you? So I'll cut that to keep things clearer. But normally for these modules at this level of study, you're normally really great about doing this. So I know that's not a big surprise, having the in-text reference there and the reference appearing in the reference section there. But that will need to happen. But I just want to draw your attention to how few references there are here. There's just a single reference going on in this paragraph. It's not the best paragraph in the world, as I've said. There could be other studies included there, but I have given space over to unpack some detail to make sure that everything I'm talking about there is to do with that reference. Study, interview, data collection, something about the sample, something like really clear details on not just how many there were, but what age they were, who they were, what the criteria was. They all had to self-identify as non-drinkers, and then something about the findings. There could be more detail there, but that's a sense of it. And then I go on to give a little bit more of a sense of the findings there as well. And the same principles would apply for the summary of a quantitative study as for a qualitative study. It would be a sense of the data collection methods, survey methods, 407 participants, age 18 to 25, mean age 22 years perhaps, and a sense of regression analyses demonstrated a relationship between extroversion and conscientiousness and recent alcohol consumption intention or something like that. So it would be the same kind of thing, about details about data collection and methods of analysis there. But I suppose one sort of key point about this is that there is only one reference. There aren't lots of references. And I think we can fall into a habit when we're doing referencing of thinking that we almost need to reference every single thing we're saying, or conversely, that we can say things without needing to reference them. So there is a bit of a balance here, but I think in general, try and think of referencing as referring to a specific study or to a specific idea or theory. So it's not the best of examples, but it's just so I'm talking about a theory here. Now, I haven't actually done what I intended to do there. I've done something else, but what I have done there wasn't actually what I originally intended to do, is included a quantitative, a summary of a quantitative study. So you get an example of both there. And that's expanded the the paragraph. It's made it a bit longer, although I'd need to revise that closing signpost sentence there so that it reflects the fact that I'm summarising both quantitative and qualitative studies there. But just to give you word count again there, that's 193 words, and I would be very satisfied with that paragraph lengthwise at this stage. That's not too long, it's not too short. It's making a specific point that connects to the broader review. It's linking it back to the review at the end, and crucial, it's providing a really clear summary. Now, I'm not expecting that you're going to be writing in this kind of way, because you are writing longer paragraphs. You are sort of bringing in relatively more detail from studies than you would expect to find in an article or something like that. But excuse me, just to give you a sense of how these paragraphs can look and the relative kind of ratio of bits of information going on and the level of detail about study summaries. That's my intention, to give you kind of a sense of those things. Okay, I think that's everything. But the main kind of headline is try and use references in a way that captures the product that you're referring to. So try and, when you say Conroy and Divisa, whatever the article is, try and make sure you've talked about what that study is in that paper. I think as academics, and I went to a conference about 6 years ago, they were quite interesting in what they had to say about this in one of the papers. Talked about how referencing is used, almost as if you're kind of doing an incantation, almost sort of using it and to sort of kind of evoke the spirit of a set of ideas or something. The more we can stay grounded with referencing and be really kind of clear about referring to a particular study, to a particular theory, perhaps to a particular set of data, if we're talking about statistics relating to alcohol consumption, or relating to homelessness, or relating to the proportion of parents working at home during a particular period or something. Might refer to a relevant website there which hosts those statistics. But our referencing needs to kind of be pointing to something fairly concrete, ideally. But just to close this, and I hope that's been helpful, kind of sharing just sort of going through the process really of how that works. I hope that's been helpful in terms of you thinking about developing your own skills around referencing. And this is very much a work in progress. When I sit down and write an article or a blog piece or something, I'm having to think about how to use references and how to use them meaningfully, and not just plug in references for the sake of it. And I work with all sorts of different people, and everyone has a very different style of referencing, and I learn a lot. I learn a lot from working with other people about how they're using references, and what I like or like a bit less, maybe about different styles. So keep on having that dialogue with yourself about what seems to be working, draw on feedback, but also have your own dialogue with yourself about how it is you're referring to a particular article or a particular theory in a book chapter, and how the reference links up to that. As with any of these resources, please do get in touch with me with any questions, and I hope this has been helpful.